If you want to equate the wind, the storm right now has the same maximum wind as an EF4 tornado that by definition causes catastrophic damage. This is some of the worst weather we'll ever see on the planet. It's happening right now under Hurricane Irma, and I tell you, it's making a beeline for the island of Barbuda. Population 1,600. It looks like the eye is going to go right on top of that island in about 4 to 5 hours. And, you know, we can imagine what they're going to have. And a lot of these islands ahead of it, like even St. Thomas and St. Croix, could have big impacts. We're hoping the hurricane somehow kind of sneaks north of Puerto Rico. That's a possibility. So, again, you've got this island here, and the hurricane is making a straight line for that. Additional islands are on the way. So the entire Northeast Caribbean obviously has a hurricane warning in effect. So here's the latest stats. And again, this is as of the 8 o'clock advisory. I urge you to stay with me because the 11 o'clock advisory typically comes in at about 10:50, 10:55. We'll have that before the 11 o'clock news if it does come in then. 17.2, 60.5. Top winds 185 miles an hour, moving due west at 15. Pressure down to 916. I saw a recon a few minutes ago down to 914. Moving just about due west. I feel really confident about this track for the next 3 days. Kind of skirting the northern coast of Puerto Rico, close to Cuba by Thursday afternoon or evening. And then the problem is beyond 3 days, we're noticing, I think it's actually above normal model spread. And this yellow cone is the Hurricane Center saying, okay, the storm can be any place inside this cone in about 5 days. You don't want to concentrate necessarily on the line. Everything in yellow is in play, including some of the Tampa Bay area, South Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, the Bahamas. The modeling data is kind of interesting tonight. This is something we really have to pay attention to because this is how we determine where hurricanes are going to go. So as of the runs tonight, there's been this is Saturday at 3 o'clock, and we go, okay, it's as expected, moving north of Cuba, but then all of a sudden, as a trough kind of dips into Florida, there's going to be a turn. We know that, and the question is, when is the turn going to happen? A lot of the models now are kind of hinting that that turn could happen sooner rather than later. And if this plays out, you're looking at a storm that could theoretically go up the East Coast and miss Florida. Is that definitely going to happen? I'm not going to buy into one model run now. If the runs tonight and tomorrow all here, then I feel pretty good because tomorrow night I could say, well, they're back like this now. But for now, I would say this is some good news. You also want to concentrate on this one of these orange lines here. That's kind of like the consensus model, which is east of the state. So this is something we watch, and it's all about the strength of this high here. You've got a trough along the East Coast. It lifts up. This weak low is going to help to govern the eventual motion of Irma, and hopefully that motion is east of Florida, and that's a possibility. I'm no way am I saying we're out of the woods, because we're not. But this is a trend we have to watch for the next day or two. We'll talk more about that, a lot more coming up.